So good evening, everyone. My name is Patrick Cosgrove, and I'm the Student Recruitment Officer here at Mary Immaculate College. Welcome to Meet the Experts, our postgraduate study live information and Q&A online sessions. This evening, our experts, Dr. Emma O'Brien, Dr. Rona Flatley, and Dr. Julianne Stack from the Faculty of Arts, the Faculty of Education, and the Research and Graduate School, respectively, will speak about the college's wide range of taught and research-based postgraduate programs, along with information on fees, funding supports, and the application process. So welcome to you all. If you do have any questions at any stage this evening, please do use the Q&A function at the top of your screen. If you just press or click on that, you'll be able to type in a question and I will put it to any of our experts here. We have This is the second of our series, so we do have explainer videos up on the MIC website. So if you just go to mic.ie into the postgraduate pages, you can come upon explainer videos for the session tonight, different topics we'll be covering, and of course our session last week on the Professional Masters of Education, the PME. But just welcome again to Ronan, to Emma, and to Julie Ann. So maybe just to get things going and give everyone a chance just to settle in, I might just get everyone to very briefly introduce themselves, and maybe if there's anything they want to say about their particular areas or faculties or so on, they can feel free to do so. So I'll start with you, Ronan. You're on the top left of my screen. So if you just want to introduce yourself briefly to the attendees this evening.
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. So I'm Dr. Ronan Flatley. I'm the Assistant Dean in the Faculty of Arts. And I'll just list quickly the taught programs provided by the faculty in terms of postgraduate programs. We've got the MA in Climate Justice and Sustainability. We have an MA in Environment, Society and Culture and an MSc in Environment, Society and Culture. We've got the Master Sogailga, MA in History, an MA in Local History in conjunction with our colleagues in UL, an MA in Modern English Literature, an MA in Media Studies, a Graduate Diploma and MA in Applied Linguistics, a structured PhD in Applied Linguistics too, and a certificate in Christian Leadership in Education.
Okay, great. Thanks a million, Ronan. Emma, I might get you to say a few words now, if you will.
Thanks, Pat. So my name is Emma O'Brien. I'm Director of Taught Postgraduate Programmes in the Faculty of Education. We have a huge range of programmes, but I just wanted to draw your attention tonight to a new range of programmes that we've just launched, the MEd with Specialisms. So this is a programme that allows you to specialise in particular areas that there might be curriculum development in. So we have specialisms in STEM, early childhood care, philosophy with children, education with the law, child protection, digital leadership, well-being, in education, and a huge range. So if you want to go to the website and have a look at the video there, we've a lot to offer. Actually, music education is another one, to find out more, and delighted to be here tonight and meeting you and answer any questions you might have.
Thanks a million, Emma. And lastly then, Julianne.
Hi, Pat. Thanks. So my name is Dr. Julianne Stack. I'm the Graduate School Director here at Mary Immaculate College, and I oversee our research, postgraduate research degrees, such as traditional PhDs and research masters. These can be done in any of our departments in the college, as long as a supervisor is willing and available to supervise you. And I'll be happy to take any questions you might have on the application process for those degrees, and how you might go about identifying a supervisor, and our various funding and scholarship options as well.
Brilliant. Thanks, Julianne. And hopefully our audience tonight, you've just gained a little bit of an insight into our three experts there and their backgrounds. So remember, if you do have any questions, please use the Q&A function. You just type them in and I'll put them to our experts at any stage. So please do use that function whenever you feel like you have something to ask them. It's no problem at all. I'll put it to them. So maybe just to get the ball going, folks, we might just look at a few general things. I suppose anyone, when you're thinking of doing a postgraduate program in third level institutions, a lot of the time people are looking at the facilities available to postgraduate students. So maybe I might start with you, Julianne, or feel free to jump in, guys, as well. You might just tell us a little bit about the postgraduate facilities that are available to students on our campuses, both in Limerick and maybe Thurles as well.
So in the Limerick campus, we have a building called the John Henry Newman Building. It's across the road from the main campus. And in there we have a general postgraduate computing room, which is available only for postgraduate students. For those of you who would be undertaking research degrees, you're able to reserve a study desk for your own sole use in that building over the course of the academic year. And that can be accessed until very late in the evening during the week and on Saturdays as well. It just means that you can set up your workstation where you want with your books and you don't need to be packing them up and down all the time. And we also have a lovely seminar room for research events, and students can book that for their own research events as well. And each week we have kind of research and graduate school seminars that are focused on kind of career and academic development, professional development for you as a researcher.
Brilliant. And I suppose even just to follow on to that, and I'll throw this open maybe to Ronan and to Emma. Obviously, you've mentioned some of the actual facilities available to postgraduate students, but are there any kind of specific supports that we have available for postgraduate students as well?
Yeah, I'll jump in here, Pat. Thanks. Yeah, the Faculty of Arts prides itself on the level of support it gives to postgrad students, both those who are conducting research programs and also those on taught programs. Academic departments within the faculty, they work closely to support the postgrad students throughout their time at MIC, and they encourage communities within the faculty to support and guide those students. Each taught program has a program coordinator who looks after all elements of the program and would be the first point of contact for taught postgrads. There's also a dedicated Faculty of Arts office which provides information, support and help to all students within the faculty.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ron. Do you want to add anything to that, Emma? Are you okay?
Yeah, I think we also have academic writing support as well for anybody that might sort of that regard. So there is a flexible facility that we have an academic writing support tutor or support officer. They'll actually meet you online or face to face or whatever, and they have a lot of expertise in the area. So it's very supportive environment you'll be coming into.
Brilliant. I suppose it's great to know those supports are there. So we have a couple of questions, and anyone that's attending tonight, please do pop them into the Q&A and I'll put them to our experts here. So the first one, I might put this to you, Ronan. It's about the taught MA in German. They want to know, will that be available in the future?
Taught available in German?
Taught MA in German, will that be available in the future?
There are no plans for a taught German at the moment. It's not to say that it wouldn't become available in the future, but we don't have concrete plans just at the moment. Yeah.
Fair enough. So nothing concrete at the moment, but maybe keep an eye on the on our website in the coming years. Next one then is about the doctorate in educational psychology. So they just want to know, can you please share some information about the doctorate in education psychology, the open dates for applications, and they'd like some information about the funded places, how are these applied for, and they're wondering about the eligibility criteria as well. So who wants to jump in there for that one?
I don't mind. So
yeah.
I think the closing date is it's closed for this year, is it, Julianne?
Yeah, I think it's closed for this year. Yeah,
I think it comes the application date is usually the end of January. It's quite competitive. It's about 20 places. And Julianne might be
around 14 max.
14, okay. And it is quite competitive in terms of the application. There's an interview process associated with it, an application and an interview process. And I suppose that most of the places are funded because it's an internship. So you're a trainee educational psychologist for HSC. I know Julianne probably knows more than me. So for either NEPS or the department, and you'll be employed as an employee as part of those. So they will be part of the interview panel for that process. Usually we have very experienced graduates, so most people would have a degree, some work experience, and a master's for the program, and a clear kind of research idea of where they want to go. Have I got that right, Julianne? Or
Yeah, no, I think they have to have a good idea of what they don't need to apply with a research proposal, but they need to have a good idea of what it is they're going to research. And that gets honed and tightened up over the course of the first year. But it would be in your own best interest to have a really good idea of what kind of research you want to conduct, because it just will enable you to interview better on it, discuss it better, and also you can be planning it earlier in the course. It is quite an intense course. The eligibility criteria, you need to have a qualification in psychology, as far as I'm aware. An education qualification is desirable, and you also need to have some professional experience, I think of at least 2 years. And obviously, if you have any research done as well, that will make your application better. As Emma said, it is quite competitive. Um, all of the places on the program are funded. It's half and half HSE and NEPS. And if you get offered a place, you'll get funded by one of those, is my understanding. I think we've kind of covered all their questions there.
Yeah, and I suppose best advice is just keep an eye on our website. Anyway, usually
Yeah.
we would let people know kind of a couple of months maybe in advance when that open day would be open for next year again. So just kind of keep an eye on the program page on the website is probably the best thing to do for the moment. We have a couple of more questions have just come in. So this one is from Clodagh, and I might put this to you, Ronan. They want to know, is there a deadline for the application for the MA sa Gaeilge? They're interested in doing it, but haven't heard much about the process.
Yeah, the Maastricht sa Gaeilge has a deadline. I think have to check. Yeah, I think it's the end of May actually is the official deadline. But
yeah, I think you're right.
It can be extended. Yeah, so at least last year it was extended into the summer months, into June and July. So that mightn't be a hard deadline, but the program coordinator there to contact is Dr. Roisin ní Garvey. So she would be an excellent person to contact regarding the details and indeed the application process. Like with all our taught postgrads, it is a good idea at least to open up a discussion with the program coordinators over email, and very often they'd be interested in following up with a phone call or a video meeting with you. So that's the best advice I can give on that.
Yeah, thanks, Ron. And we might put up Roisin ní Garvey's email there in the Q&A so you'll be able to see it. And we've just popped up there the contact email if you're interested in the professional doctorate in education and child psychology as well. There's an email there that you can send some of the information. They'll be able to get back to you with more details. So next question, again, it's another Faculty of Arts question, Ronan. They want to know about the MA in history. So they'd rather a research MA in history part-time, but it's not available part-time, they're wondering. And they're still willing to do the taught version, but their own interest. But my own research would be my real interest. And they also want to know, has AI impacted much in assessment? So
okay, yeah,
mix of a question there, good few angles there. Yeah.
Yeah, so in terms of okay, there are two taught programs available in history. There's the MA in history, available one year full time or 2 years part time, and then as I mentioned earlier as well, we have an MA in local history in conjunction with UL. That's available only on a part time basis over 2 years. So they're the taught programs. MA by research is certainly possible as well, and there are several faculty members in history who would be in a position to supervise such an MA. Maybe I'll mention just to highlight a few people from that department, the Department of History. The head of department, Liam Chambers, he's a specialist in 18th century Irish history, particular Irish migration, and he's also an expert in the history of Catholicism. Brian Hughes, his area is 20th century Irish history, the Irish Revolution in particular, and also the history of loyalism, particularly Southern Irish loyalism. We have Miriam Nyan, who is an expert in American history and in particular Irish-American migration, the diaspora, race, ethnicity. She also researches using oral history, memory studies. Another department member is Richard McMahon, and his areas really are modern British and American history, with particular focus on comparative and transnational history of violence and the law. So I would say if you have an interest in conducting an MA through research, really your first port of call would be the department's website, maybe to identify an area of common interest with lecturer there, and then maybe to get in touch with them over email, or indeed to get in touch with the head of department, Dr. Liam Chambers, who might be able to further advise. Yeah, as regards AI, yeah, I suppose like all areas really, there's been a huge impact on how assessments are conducted, and yeah, I suppose I can't speak for all departments, but I know for some departments at least there is a return to the in-class assessment, something that departments would have veered away from in previous years. There's now tends to be a return to that class-based assessment and an exam hall assessment as opposed to essay assignments and so on. But each department is coping in its own way with the challenges of generative AI. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for the questions.
Yeah, and we might pop up Liam Chambers' email address just in the Q&A there. He's the head of the history department here in the college, so if you want to follow up with him with any more of your queries. So next question we have, and please do keep your questions coming. I might put this to you, Emma. It's they want to know, as regards to the MEd in specialisms, must you know whether you are specialising in a particular area before applying to the course? Also, when graduating, if specialising in an area, will it be noted on your cert, as upon completing the BEd, specialisms aren't noted on the cert? So I presume that's the undergraduate one they're talking about there.
Yeah. So in terms of your specialism, it would be useful if you could decide before, but it's not compulsory. You can maybe put a number of choices on your application form, just so we know what numbers to expect. But it would be nice before you start, because what happens is, we have to offer a suite of electives. So, but if you're not sure, that's fine as well. We the first two modules are core modules. So we could maybe give a few weeks grace with that, or a couple of weeks grace with that. In terms of the parchment, so your transcript that you print out with your results, it will say route and it will say your specialism, but the actual parchment is the same as the BEd. So it's a Masters of Education. It doesn't say the specialism. So I suppose if you're going for particular roles and jobs, like we might have people, looking at the earlier settings or whatever, they would like that wording. You could submit your transcript to whoever you're applying for jobs, and you could say that you specialise in these areas. Your results anyway, and your modules that will be listed will, show that the electives that you've undertaken, but it doesn't say it on the parchment. It's the exact same model as the BEd specialisms that you're talking about, so you'd be familiar with that, it sounds.
Yeah, thanks, Emma. And there's kind of a follow-on one to that then. It might be the same person, but they want to know, in relation to the MEd in specialisms, can this be fully completed online?
Yep. So it depends on the specialism. So some specialisms, most are blended, right? So anything midweek is always online or asynchronous. It's the Saturday sessions that may be on campus or streamed and on campus. It depends on the specialism area. So first, sensitive subjects like education and the law, you would have to come on campus on the Saturday for that. For the digital leadership, we stream, record, and have it on campus on a Saturday. For well-being, it would be on campus because there's a lot of active kind of learning and kind of reflection, and again, sensitive topics. For leadership, it will be streamed, recorded, and on campus. So it very much depends on the specialism you're choosing, because we can't expect every specialism to be delivered in the same way just because of the subject area. So if you get in contact with me, and we can advise you which would be on campus. But the midweek is always online. We don't expect people to travel midweek, but it will be the Saturdays that there might be kind of a difference in how they're delivered, whether you'd have to be physically on campus or whether you could potentially be on campus or online.
Okay, thanks a million, Emma. Probably another little follow-up question here now. This person, they're interested in doing the postgraduate in education leadership on a part-time basis. They want to know how much time is spent on campus versus online. Also, if you undergo part-time postgraduate but end up on leave from work, for example, on maternity leave, can you continue with postgraduate studies?
Yep. So the postgraduate in education leadership and management is one of those flexible programs that is largely delivered online. So the way you work it is there would be one module delivered at a time. Midweek sessions are online. So usually I don't know the night, I think it could be a Monday night. You would have a session from 7 to 9. You would have short little activities to engage in, midweek self-directed reading, and then you would have 1 or 2 Saturdays a month. Most of them are recorded and streamed, with the exception of one module, which is education and the law. And sometimes, depending on who's delivering that module, you would have to be on campus, but everything else is delivered flexibly. With regards to leave, we're, and Ronan will advocate for this, we're very supportive. So if you're on maternity leave, you can absolutely continue to engage in your studies. We have 2 people on that just had babies, I think in November, and they're continuing with their studies. But if it does get too much, there's opportunities for you to avail of leave of absence. If you're doing your dissertation and you're not going to submit on time, we can get an I grade or a continuance. So there's lots of supports there for you if you run into difficulty. And we're very used to it. Like, postgraduate is very complex. People come to it with a lot of personal, professional situations. So the main thing is just to keep in touch with the program coordinator or myself, and we will advise you about how to support. But everything is manageable, and every challenge you might come up with, and as long as you talk to someone about it, we can always come up with it with a solution. So yeah.
Super, thanks, Emma. We've one more for you here, Ron. They want to know about the MA in Modern English Literature. Is it fully online, and does the full-time course allow for frequent meetings with professors after classes to formulate questions and solve doubts?
Okay, thanks for the question. Yeah, the MA in Modern English Literature is completely online. It can be done either over 1 year full-time or over 2 years part-time. I know that professors on the program are highly accessible. The mode in which that access is provided, I'm not certain. I'm not certain whether it's online or through tutorials and videos. I'd need to check that. The best person to contact that is the program coordinator, Professor Eugene O'Brien. So maybe we can provide Eugene's
Yeah, we can
email
pop
into the chat.
Eugeni's email address into the chat there, and they
I
might
know
follow up with them for more detail.
I know that the Department of English prides itself in its support of MA students, and indeed they have a high proportion of master's students who go on to conduct doctoral studies with them. So yeah.
Okay, good. So next question for Julianne. Julianne, you might explain the difference between a structured PhD and I suppose what some people might call a normal or regular PhD program. What's the difference between them?
So I'll actually just going to jump back actually to something Ronan was talking about first, and then I'll answer your question. And it was just someone who wanted to do a research degree, but on a part-time basis. So we actually have a lot of people doing research degrees, but also working. So while it's a full-time program, in terms of, the fees are charged for the 2 years of your MA, most people do it while juggling other personal responsibilities and careers and professions, etc. So don't worry about that, but you can contact me and we can discuss that, kind of in more particular detail if you wish, if that's really the route you would prefer to go down. So the difference between a structured PhD and a traditional PhD. So a structured PhD it almost starts off like a taught MA or an MEd, in that for the first 2 years, first year at least, depending on the program, and sometimes the first 2 years, you have taught elements and there are associated assignments, and you need a minimum QCA in those assignments to continue on with the research block of the program. During those first year or two where you're doing taught elements, you will be refining and honing your research proposal. You will have entered the program with a research proposal, but the taught elements are really scaffolded to equip you with good research skills and methodological skills, and they will really help you just hit the ground running then once you hit the years where your focus is on full-time research. Traditional PhDs then do not have any required taught elements. It's sometimes known as a monastic PhD or traditional PhD or a PhD by research alone. And in that case, you work solely with one or two supervisors on your research question by yourself. Any sort of refining of skills on methodologies and research will be done in consultation with your research, but it's all self-directed learning. Both programs, the students get assessed on a yearly basis in what we call the research review process, where where the departments look at your rate of progress over the year to make sure it's appropriate for your stage of study and your prior learning, etc. At the end of the day, whether it's a structured PhD or a traditional PhD, you will only be awarded the PhD degree on the merits of your thesis alone and your contribution to discipline. It doesn't matter how many taught elements you accrue, unless you have a thesis of sufficient quality, you're not going to get the PhD. So that's kind of the difference. Taught elements that'll help your training, is it in a nutshell.
Brilliant, thanks. That clarified it very well there, Julianne. We have a couple of more questions coming in, and please do pop them up in the Q&A if you have a question for any of our experts this evening. So put this to you, Emma. This person, they want to know, would I need to know if I would like to complete the full master's 2-year course or diploma in the MEd in literacy education or MEd in leadership of wellbeing education before applying?
Yeah, so I would recommend that you apply for your preferred program, and kind of have an idea of that before the application process. It would be good probably to talk to the program coordinators about the different programs and think about why you're doing them, and your kind of end goal, because they're two very, very different areas. So, and if you want, I'm happy to talk to you about both of them as well. Similarly, if you just want to talk to one person. But usually we would, if someone's undecided about a program, we would just give them as much information as possible and talk to them about their, career aspirations of what they want from the program, with a view to supporting them to choose the right program. But you would need to know on the application stage of which program you want, because they're just so different. The specialisms are it's slightly easier because there's some overlapping modules that give you a little bit of time to decide, but with the discipline specific programs, they're two completely different programs, so it would be best to know.
Okay, thanks a million, Emma. Next question then is for you, Ronan. It's a follow-up about the history program. This person wants to know, is there any physical attendance with the history MA?
The history MA, yeah. So, yeah, the history MA is taught exclusively online. So, yeah, there's no on-campus activity involved in that. With the MA in local history, it's different. So there are evening classes normally on a Wednesday evening, and one semester in Mary Immaculate College, the other semester in the University of Limerick. So that's over 2 years. Yeah, so that's the main difference there between the taught MA in history, which is purely online, and the MA in local history, which is face to face.
Brilliant, thanks, Ron. And we've just popped into the chat there. I think Brian Hughes is the coordinator for that. If you want to follow up with him, what about that Toastmasters? Yeah, so as Ronan said, it's a mixture of pre-recorded lectures, live online classes, and online tasks as well. Next question, then I'll just throw it out to the three of you and see who wants to go for it. This person wants to know, are there a lot of students from other countries studying courses online, and is there anything essential to know before applying when based in another country?
Can I jump in there just for 1
Sure,
second?
go for it, yeah.
We actually have a lot of non-EU and EU students studying in MIC, but based fully in their home countries. One or two have made occasional visits over just to meet their supervisor in person, but that's kind of really out of their own desires. It was not compulsory. We have a significant number, around 10% of our student body are international, and maybe around 5% of them are fully based abroad and won't be setting foot in MIC. All of our research seminars are delivered online. They're all recorded and made available for people in different time zones, etc., as well as all of our administration is done via email and online as well. So we're really trying to facilitate international based students. If you're applying from another country but plan to move to Ireland, then I would really ask you to consider the cost of living here in Ireland. And we are facing a kind of an accommodation crisis at the moment. So please, consider all of your own personal responsibilities and personal circumstances very carefully there. And again, if you drop us an email about research degrees, we can give you more information on that. And I'll hand over then to my colleagues in the faculties as well.
Anything to add to that, guys?
Yeah. So we have a small portion also that take the program online. So we have Irish teachers that are situated in Ireland, or Irish students. Some, like Julianne said, never come on campus. Some actually do come on campus. We have international students that physically come here, and then we also have international students that never travel to Ireland. I think when you're looking at taught programs, because there's classes and there will be some group work, it's advisable just to let your program coordinator know what way you'll be attending. So, for example, we have students in the UAE that the time is 4 hours ahead. Our classes are 7 to 9. We record them. And then the group-based activities, we provide digital spaces for them to collaborate out of hours, and we would support them to talk to their group members. So if your program coordinator knows, they can talk to the module coordinators and make plans in terms of how best to support you. But absolutely, we have dealt with it in the past, and there is usually a few every year that are based abroad.
Thanks, Emma.
Yeah, thanks, Emma. I'll just jump in just to highlight one of our taught programs, which it's possible to do either completely online or blended, or indeed face-to-face, and that's the MA in Applied Linguistics, which in any of those modes can be taken on a full-time basis over 12 to 15 months, or on a part-time basis over 2 to 3 years. And on both of those programs, we've got 2 intakes, one in September and the other in January. The contact for those programs is Dr. Joan O'Sullivan. So she would be the person to speak to in the first instance.
Thanks, Ron. And we might put Joan's email address just up in the Q&A there for anyone that might like to get in touch with her. So please do keep your questions coming in if you have anything you want to ask our experts. Next question is probably for you. We'll see now who wants to go first. It's about the MA in music education. Is that still available, or is that just included instead now through the MEd with specialisms? So maybe Emma, you might go for that.
So it's actually only available as a specialism. So the way the specialisms work is there's 3 core modules, 3 specialism modules, and 3 dissertation style modules. The 3 specialism modules would be in specific music ed, but the 3 core modules are designed in a way you can specialize within them. So, for example, one of the core modules is national and international trends in education, where we get people to look at their areas of specialism. They're assigned a country and they conduct research into policy in the area of, say, if it's music ed, it would be music, your specialist music ed, and you would look at policy and practice and how it impacts teaching in those countries. So there's an opportunity for you to specialise within the core modules as well. The advantage of that is sometimes the specialism modules are quite small, so you might say we have between 4 and 10 students, and then if you participate in the core modules, there's a kind of an interdisciplinary focus where, you know, music ed and well-being might, you know, have overlaps, or, you know, music and digital or whatever. So it gives you that interdisciplinary focus while at the same time specialising and focusing on your area. So it just gives a richer experience. But yeah, it's just available as a specialism.
Super, thanks, Emma. Ronan, we have a follow-on question there about the MA in Modern English Literature. This person wants to know, when do we know if we got accepted onto the course? That's once they've applied. They want to know when will they know if they get accepted onto the MA?
Yeah, I'm not certain on that, Patrick. I believe it's in early stages of the summer, say from June, July, but I can't say for certain. I'd need to check that with Professor O'Brien.
Yeah. Well, probably the best thing to do is to email. We put that up, I think, already. Was it Eugene O'Brien's email address if you wanted to give him an email there, or there is a contact details on the MA in Modern English Literature program page anyway there. If you want to just give them an email. Applications are open, I think, already, but they might be able to clarify about when you would be told if you were accepted onto the program or not. We haven't really touched anything yet about scholarships or fees, so maybe you'd like to jump in there, Julianne. Could you just tell us maybe a little bit about the funding opportunities available in terms of like scholarships, fellowships, and maybe even more importantly, how are they awarded? You know, does it depend on your grade in your undergraduate degree, or what are the criteria? You're just on mute now, Julianne.
Sorry, I had it off mute all the time, and then I was worried I was making background noise, so I muted myself. So thanks for that question. That's a really interesting one. So we have a variety of different scholarships and funding streams through the college. For those of you attending tonight who are graduates of MIC, you may have been offered or may have been awarded a President's Scholarship or a gold medal in your graduation, or a different type of award as well. So you can't apply for the Patrick Cremen or Kieran Burke Fellowship. You'll know if you've been offered it. If you've not already used it and you think your time frame for using it has elapsed, it's always worthwhile sending an email to the President's Office, the persons who informed you of the scholarship in the past, and asking them, can you still avail of it? It's always worth asking. Our other funding streams then for people doing taught and research postgraduate degrees, that either can apply for, we've quite a number of sports scholarships. We have, and then just some occasional bursaries, and we have a scholarships and funding page, and I'd advise you to investigate that. Then for people who are undertaking research degrees, there's 2 main forms of internal funding. So the first is our postgraduate research merit awards. So these are 3 scholarships that are awarded on an annual basis. These are quite competitive. We have 3 scholarships. We might get around 40 odd applications for them. But if you don't apply, you most certainly won't get awarded one. So we do encourage you to apply if you're eligible. The way they are awarded then is both you as a candidate, your personal academic history is assessed, and that's given a certain number of marks, but also your research project and your research potential and how well you explain how useful and beneficial that research is going to be. That is, I think it's maybe 45% for you, the candidate, 45% for the research project. And then we ask you to give a significant portion of the form on your career training and development aspect of, how are you going to use your hard-earned research degree to gain employment, and how you're going to leverage it to, interesting and meaningful stable and well-paid employment. And that's another 10%. So it's not just your grades, even though, of course, they are an important reflector of ability as well. But people have different achievements in their academic journey throughout their life, and we do try and take that into account as well. Then the other form of internal funding for research postgraduates is what we call the departmental assistantship scheme. And this is where you would get the postgraduate research merit awards, there's a fee waiver and a stipend. And the departmental assistantships are similar, even though it's a lesser stipend, but you also have to do departmental duties, they're often tutorials, but sometimes they're more administrative tasks or assisting one of the lecturers with other routine things. And they are offered by each department individually, and they will begin to be advertised over the next month or so. So keep an eye out on our website for that. Once students are in their research degree programs, then we have other funding streams for attending and presenting at conferences more accurately. And I think that's kind of covered them all now. And then there are some programs, I think some taught programs that have some kind of funding attached to them. Emma, am I right there?
I think that's the teacher research scheme.
That's grand. Okay, grand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, super. Thanks a million, Emma. And for further information on that, we've just popped it into the Q&A there. We've the link to the page on our website that has more information about scholarships, funding and fees. So please do take a look at that in the coming days. So look, we've about 5 minutes left in our session. So if you do have any further questions for our experts, please avail of this opportunity now and pop them into the Q&A. We do have a question here just for you again, Emma. It's about the MEd specialism. They want to know, where could I find information about pricing for the MEd specialism program? They've checked the online document but cannot seem to find it.
Yeah, I think Sinead typed
I
the
think
link in there.
Usually on the website for all of our program pages, if they go into entry requirements, there's a link to the fees on every program page. So maybe if they just kind of give a look again at the website, and I think we have the link in the Q&A as well.
Now,
if they
for the
wanted to have a look at
specialisms,
that.
it might just say MEd. So MEd with specialisms is the same as the MEd fees. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it's probably not given it's a specific specialism fee. It's kind of the overall fee for DMEd.
Yeah,
it's giving, I would say, yeah.
It's considered part of the Masters of Education. Yeah.
Okay. We have another question then from Paul, and he wants to know, is there closing dates for applying for research award funding or departmental assistantships?
Hi, Paul. Yes, there are closing dates. And as I said just a little while, so the terms and conditions and application information of this year's schemes for the Postgraduate Research Merit Awards will be advertised in the next week or two. So keep an eye out on the Research and Graduate School side of the house. If you are interested in a departmental assistantship, then I would advise that you contact the head of the relevant department. So, for example, if you intend on applying for a PhD in history this year to start in September, then definitely contact the head of department in the next month or so about their internal departmental assistantship competition. If heads contact us and let us know about their competition, we post a link to it on our funding and scholarship, but sometimes they don't tell us, and it is up to them to let us know. So definitely I would advise you to contact the head for the departmental assistantship one.
Perfect, yeah, and we've just popped into the Q&A there, just the fees, a link to the fees there that you can go to, and also the MEd fees are up there in the Q&A as well. So if we've only about a minute or two left, so if you do have a question, now is your time to get it in, and I'll put it to our experts. We might, I suppose, some people have mentioned supervisors and that kind of thing already in our session tonight, but I know Julianne or whoever wants to jump in. How, I suppose, do you go about identifying a supervisor? If you're thinking of doing a course with us now over the next year or two, kind of what advice would you have for someone, in terms of identifying someone that they could potentially work with?
I think Roland described it very well, actually, in that your first point of call will be the departmental website and have a look through the staff members and then have a look at their research interests and see which best aligns with your research topic. And then you would send a very pleasant and very polite email giving a brief overview of yourself and your planned research to know if they might have, outline interest in, supervising such a topic. And you would probably attach the bones of your thesis proposal at that point as well, and a little bit of a CV, just to kind of they are not obliged to take on students. So you do want to make the best possible first impression. And similarly, supervisors, they talk to each other, so don't email 10 supervisors at once in the one department, because that doesn't indicate a genuine interest. If you can't find someone on the website that looks like they align best, then I would advise you that you contact the head of department, because perhaps newer members of staff may not have their research profiles up there just yet, and the head of department may be able to point you in the right way.
Brilliant. Thanks, Julianne. So we're coming towards the end of our session, and if we don't have any other questions, maybe just to finish off, I might put it to all three of our experts, maybe in 15 seconds or so, if you could briefly just summarize, I suppose, what makes Mary Immaculate College a good place to do your postgraduate degree in, and why would you recommend it? So we might just start off with you, Ronan, again. You have the short straw, so off you go.
Yeah, thanks, Pat. I would say the caliber of the staff, their excellent reputations in their own research fields, make MIC an excellent place to do a postgrad. Speaking for the Faculty of Arts, we have a wide, varied. We've got quite a few research interests right across 14 different areas, from business studies right through to philosophy. As I said before, we're very student-centered. It's a very supportive environment. There's genuine care of the student provided. There's small supportive groups in postgrad taught programs. And what else? Yeah, I've spoken already about the variety of delivery methods across the programs, blended, fully online and face-to-face. Yeah, so that's it. I think we consider ourselves, and we're known to be to have a thriving, close-knit postgrad community.
Thanks, Ronan. Go, Emma, you have 20 seconds, so off you go.
Yeah. So I think the main thing is the support you get as a student. There is a wonderful supportive community. You get to meet fantastic people beyond your own job context. It's a great opportunity for you to meet other people, meet like-minded people. Sometimes when you get engaged in postgraduate studies, it's you have an appetite to keep going. That probably has happened to all of us, I think. So it's a really rewarding experience. You don't just learn about your discipline, but you learn a lot about yourself. And I think even the research skills that you learn through it, I think we should be teaching everybody as researchers, because you nearly become self-sufficient in terms of your own knowledge and how to understand and critique and apply different knowledge. So it just opens up your world, and it's a lovely, supportive environment to do your studying. Yeah.
Thanks a million, Emma. And then we finish with you, Julianne.
I'll possibly sound like a bit of a broken record, because I'm going to echo what Emma and Ronan said, but as an institution, we take real pride in providing a very personal and bespoke care for our students. We have very high academic standards, excellent supervisors, again, with very rigorous standards of academic excellence. But underneath it all, it's underpinned by a real core of humanity and kindness. And I think that's one of the benefits of coming to an institution of the size of MIC, that really bats above its weight in terms of academic excellence, but we still have that personal touch and care. I think that's one of our, most unique and powerful advantages.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Julianne. So we'll just finish our session. We'd very much like to thank Ronan, Emma and Julianne. I think they've given a huge amount of information there this evening, a lot of food for thought. To everyone that's attended, thank you for joining us this evening. If you want to find out more, please do check out our explainer videos. You can find them on the postgraduate section of the MIC website, so do please check those out in the coming days for more detailed information. If you want to stay up to date on all things postgraduate study at MIC, or sign up to our postgraduate newsletter. You can also do that on the postgraduate program pages on the website as well. So please do that if you want to find out more information in the coming days, weeks and months. So thanks again to all of our experts tonight, to our attendees, to everyone who joined us. Hopefully you found this beneficial. Best of luck with your studies in the future, and thanks again for joining us. So that brings this session to a close.
Thank you.